one that I'm glad we've got. I think he'll really add to the squad. I think the move is good for him and it's good for us. So I think everybody wins here. And, we've said, Matt, wingers is somewhere where we need to get into the team. Yeah. I think we've got one now. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And once again, Birmingham City have added to the squad with the loan signing of James Koumas from Liverpool. Now, we've known certain positions that we wanted to fill, and James Koumas is one of those players that could fill. In fact, actually, we'll see in a moment, quite a number of different positions. So, James Koumas, a young lad, Matt, comes in from Liverpool. Any thoughts?
Yeah, well, he was included in our video that we did for some transfer rumours, wasn't it? At the time of recording, I don't know when that's going to match up to when this goes out, but we did a little overview of him, sort of his positives, attributes, and obviously his history at Liverpool, Stoke, and things like that. But obviously in this video, it gives us a bit of a chance to do a bit of a deeper dive, let Blues fans know what they can expect. And before we get into his profile and what he's about, Dad, apparently Sheffield United and Wrexham are in for him as well. Yeah. Which again, I think it's a good snatch to grab players away from clubs like that. And I think we did well to pull him away from Wrexham because I believe his dad, and there's a bit of a family history there, and he's chosen to represent the Welsh team internationally as well. So definitely a good pull to get him away from that kind of connection that you would have with a club. So looking good, Dad. And you know me, I've banged the drum about wingers. Even if Koumas is coming to get a bit of experience and he's not going to be our regular first team starter, we need depth in the wing space, don't we? So this can only be a positive thing for the club.
Yeah, I mean, he comes like as a young player. He's 19. I've likened it, I suppose, in my own mind to the signing last season of Luke Harris as a young player. Luke Harris got plenty of game time in League One, and I see James Koumas as a similar type of opportunity. A young player coming in from a Premier League club in a position or positions that we do need. We've mentioned loads of podcasts, Matt, haven't we, about the need for more width and wingers and pace. He's 6 foot tall, 1.82 meters, so he's not small. But of course, being 19, I don't think his frame is fully developed yet. So he's got that obviously 19-year-old body, which I think is something that will develop over time. I'm not saying
he'll fill out. They always do. I mean, look at Jude Bellingham, look at Jordan James. When we first saw these, they looked like kids, didn't they?
Yeah, but he's with us now, and he's with us for this season.
Yeah, true.
And I think that the League One was definitely, and I think the Championship are quite physical leagues. But clearly, there's something about him. You don't sign a professional contract for Liverpool unless you've got something good about you. And like you mentioned, I really thought when we were linked with him, I thought that Wrexham would have the advantage for all the reasons that you mentioned. I think his dad, James Koumas, was a very good player.
Yeah, I remember.
And the Wrexham pool, this go back to your homeland, because he's a Welsh international as well. James Koumas is a Welsh international.
He is.
So I think Blues have done well. And obviously I've heard about the rumours about Sheffield United coming in quite late. But he's decided to come to us. Really pleased to have him. And we're going to go through his positions that he can play and the versatility that it'll give us.
I think he'll get plenty of game time, Dad, even if it's off the bench or maybe cup games or maybe the impact sub that comes on late on in games. And I think what you'll see is one of this guy's most popular and valuable assets is his work rate. And I think that's so valuable when you come into a Chris Davies team. You have to have that energy, you have to have that work rate. And from what I've seen of Koumas, he definitely likes to throw that energy about. A bit like Stansfield, a bit like a headless chicken always has a negative connotation, but you know what I mean. Just runs around, a bit like Robbie Savage, Jay Stansfield. Those players that just don't stop running, kind of thing. And I think that's definitely going to go positively for him. But in terms of his history, he's made his senior debut in 2024 for Liverpool and scored against Southampton in the FA Cup. Yeah. So again, to score at that level in his debut's got to be impressive. And he, I didn't realise. I know he was on loan at Stoke last year, but I didn't realise he made 43 appearances for them.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
And there's some banter this morning, Dad, about Koumas. A lot of Stoke fans and Birmingham fans are going back and forth, and a bit of a mixed bag from Stoke fans. I think some logical fans think he was decent and has got a bright future. Then there's some section of the fan base who go, he was rubbish and all this. And then a lot of Blues fans have been snapping back, going, well, Stoke's the kind of place where careers go to die. So it's they've been having that banter back and forth on social media. But all jokes aside, Dad, I think he'll fit in well. We need wingers. We need that depth. I like his work rate. And I'm sure we'll go into his positives in a minute of what he brings. But I'm sure as well you've got a bit of history on him, Dad, in terms of appearances and goal contributions. So should we go through that first?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, I mean, on his, his strengths and that. I mean, I think a lot of people have talked about him being a left winger.
Mm.
But what I was really surprised when I researched him and looked at his heat map, which I'll put up which will go up on the screen now, presumably. It shows this is his heat map when he played for Stoke last season. It shows that he's all over the pitch, and that's because Stoke played him as a right winger, as a left winger, and in other midfield positions, but mainly on the wings. But he's right-footed. He's right-footed, so if he's a left winger, then clearly he's going to be a right-footed left winger if that's the way we decide to use him.
If I have a preference, Dad, I know I'm not in charge of the club and have no bearing on starting or selection, but I would rather see Demarai Gray on the left because we all know he likes to cut in and shoot on his right and he's more comfortable on the left. And then I'd rather see Koumas on the right. I mean, Demarai Gray has proven he can play on the right anyway. It's not a big thing, but if I'm going to put people in their most comfortable positions, I'd stick Gray on the left and Koumas on the right, just in terms of current structure with the players that we have.
Yeah, I think
but
I think that gives the versatility that we're talking about, that he can play in those different positions. So just a few stats on him then that you know for Blues fans may find interesting. He did play 43 games, as Matt mentioned, in the Championship last season. He scored 3 goals and had 2 assists, but he did score 6 goals overall because he scored in the Cups as well for Stoke.
He scored 2 goals against Cardiff in the Cup. Apparently that was quite a good game for him. You know?
Yeah, he's played in the obviously under-18s Premier League 21 times, scored 14 goals and 6 assists, and in the Premier League 2, he's played 15 times, scored 8 goals and 4 assists. And he's played in various other trophies, etc. But he's actually been used, and this is his versatility. So over his actual professional game time, he's been a centre forward 22 times. Now, we won't be a centre forward at our club, but he has been centre forward 22 times, scored 15 goals and 6 assists. A left winger 21 times. With 12 goals and 4 assists, and a right winger 13 times with 2 goals and 1 assist. He has played as left midfield a few times, 7 times right midfield as well. So and a second striker, which I presume is number 10, a couple of times as well. But remember, he's a young player. He's 19, so these aren't like stats that are going to show a varied career, because he's right at the beginning of his career. But there's enough there to suggest there's a decent player in there. He played for Stoke 49 times altogether. So that's 43 in the league plus the Cups. 6 goals, 3 assists, and then the various Liverpool levels, under 18s, 24 goals, 18 assists, and you go through the various youth ranks, and the stats are really good. He's actually got 6 full international Welsh caps as well, and he made his debut in June 2024. In fact, actually, last season he played 26 minutes against Liechtenstein, which Wales won 3-0 at home, 18 minutes against Turkey, and he also played 45 minutes against Montenegro. So he's obviously a full Welsh international. So they definitely see him. And he was on the bench in other games as well. Yeah. Most of the games he played for Stoke last season, there's lots of game time in terms of 90 minutes, so you can see how much he played. 90s and 80s. There's a few where he's got, particularly towards the latter end of the season, where he was the game time seems to diminish a bit, really from sort of end of March onwards. He was getting 21 minutes, 19 minutes. I think he was coming on as a sub in those times, and he was on the bench in a couple. But
that's probably when Mark Robbins had a chance to settle in, and because obviously before that, because that was like a January appointment, I believe, Mark Robbins. So maybe that was kind of him finding his feet, and then selection and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. but I mean, he's got good championship experience, hasn't he? And you got to remember he's only 19, so this is why I think sometimes managers will come in, and particularly, when you get to the end of the season as well, and Stoke were in trouble, weren't they? Towards the end of the season, weren't they? And I think that maybe he felt that he needed more. Mark Robbins needed more experienced players in the team to try and get them over the line, which they did in the end. But I don't know what decisions were there. But there's enough to suggest.
Either way, Dad, it proves the minutes he got last season shows he was a valuable team member to Stoke, doesn't it? You don't play a player that much, you're then not adding or contributing or being ineffective,
No, but going back to his heat map as well, because I like this. Now, the heat map that you're looking at on the screen now is the heat map of his time at Stoke City last season, right? And as you'll see, there's heat patches everywhere. There is quite a lot of red on the wings because we know he's played left and right. But normally, sometimes you see a player labelled as a left winger, you expect to see all the heat round about the left side. But because he's versatile and played in multiple positions, you'll see quite a spread of different heat patches all over it. I always look at forward and attacking players as well, and I want to see what the heat map looks like in the defensive section as well. And you see there's plenty there to suggest he gets back and does his job, which is what Chris Davies will expect as a minimum for all players.
It's not what you do on the ball, it's just as important what you do off it, isn't it?
Yes.
So that and I think that Chris Davies has that comes back to the DNA of what he's put into our club, in my opinion. You know, we knew when he came in there was going to be a lot of turnaround. He got rid of, I don't like the word bad apples, but you know, he cleared it all out. And if you want to play for Chris Davies, you have to prove you're willing to do the dirty side of the game. Like Sariki Dembele wouldn't have survived in Chris Davies' team. I think you know, you have to have that willingness to track back and get back and put a leg in, and he looks like the kind of guy who will do that. As I say, Dad, from my research and everything I've looked at, his work rate is one of his best. Actually, that'll also come down to the fact he's 19.
Yeah,
bags of energy at that age. You know, eager to prove, want to get get that reputation up. So you're gonna want to have that energy, aren't you, and that kind of thing. But the thing I love about him personally, my most positive attribute to him, I guess, not positive attribute, but positive area to his game, is he carries the ball.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this modern game of football, it's all about possession. It's all about holding on to it. And, again, Chris Davies' DNA. But he will take his man on. He will try and, you know, go past in space. And I love that. And I think in the modern game, we need to get that back a little bit. Someone who's not scared to take it past the player and put a cross in. And that plays into his next one, which is he's comfortable on the ball, likes to pass, likes to shoot, likes to get crosses in the box. Yeah. Really key. And a really big one, Dad, and I'm sure this is why the team have pulled him in. Apparently, a lot of people at Liverpool, and I alluded to this in the transfer video, was they comment on his attitude. Yeah. And the potential that he has. You know, he's described as confident and fearless, who with a good temperament. From those around him. And I think as a 19-year-old, Dad, I think like Luke Harris last season, you have to be patient. You have to understand that they're still developing earlier in their career. But I think as long as you've got the energy and you fight and you show that desire, the Blues fans will get behind him. We can always forgive a lack of ability or maybe a shortfall in certain areas if you're willing to work hard and get stuck in. And he strikes me as a guy who's willing to, you know, muck in, do his fair share, and hopefully he can contribute some goals this season. That'd be great. So, I think we've got ourselves a good player here, and looking forward to seeing what he's got, Dad.
Well, we love a winger, don't we, at Blues? You know, a good winger. I think Louis Donowa, Stan Lazaridis.
Don't say Stan Lazaridis. I love that guy. He's just brilliant.
Jose Dominguez, he played on the wing as well, didn't it? He, you know, is a young lad, and I keep mentioning young. I think we have to remember that he is 19. That's not an excuse. I think he will do well. But the one thing that I noted from my research, that he's above everything, his pace. He's well known for his pace. Yeah. And actually, when you look at some quarters as well, they say that's his disadvantage as well, because he's so focused on pace. He needs to develop in other areas. Like, I mean, one of the weaknesses that I've seen is concentration. Right. That, you know, he's good going forward and he's good at pace, but he does sometimes lack that level of concentration needed. But I just think that comes with time and experience. When you play more games, play with different players, etc.
And that can be taught.
Yes, it can
be.
It's
something you develop.
I think it's a perfect club for him, because Chris Davies would develop him really well. You know, I think that's why Liverpool have allowed him to come here, because they probably see out all the teams that, you know, with the coaching and what we're doing here, that he will develop better here than he would at any other club, in my opinion. Yeah. Something else, and again, because of his age, another positive attribute is confidence. You mentioned it. You know, he's young. Yeah, fearless. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, isn't it? Yeah. He's confident and he's skillful, and again, for the club as well, he's also versatile as well. Now, we know that we've got good players in most positions now. In fact, we've got backup good players in all positions as well. But he gives us that level of versatility, a little bit like Taylor Gardner-Hickman can play in multiple positions. And when you need that as well, and you've got someone on the bench that might need to change a game, it can do different things, and I think that gives you more choices, or gives the manager more choices as well. But overall, you know, he's clearly one that I'm glad we've got. I think he'll really add to the squad. I think the move is good for him and it's good for us. So I think everybody wins here. And, we've said, Matt, wingers is somewhere where we need to get into the team. I think we've got one now.
Yeah, I think a lot of my sort of areas of improvement or constructive criticisms are the same as yours, Dad. But a lot of mine, I looked at them and I thought, well, that just comes with age. You know, as in the reason why, being a developing player comes from being 19, but a club like Liverpool wouldn't have you on the books if you didn't have something to give in the future. Yeah. Their academy system is going to be top tier. Their scouts are going to be top tier. All these different things, the facilities. So they're not going to keep someone like James Koumas around if he hasn't got serious potential or a bright future ahead of him. So, I think he's going to be great. And I guess the only other sort of room for improvement, which is the caveat to my positive about carrying the ball, is sometimes he can give it away a bit cheaply. But that comes with flary players, doesn't it, sometimes? And I've said this a lot. If you're a flary player and you create a chance 6 or 7 times out of 10, but then you do lose it 3 or 4, I still think you're a net positive attribute to the team. I think with flary players, it's a trade-off. Yeah. of risk versus reward, how many times you get past your man. And I think we can all forgive a loss of a ball a couple of times if he's at least having a go and trying to. I mean, I would much rather, in my opinion, maybe Blues fans could disagree with this, instead of getting stuck into a sideways shoehorn, someone like Koumas gets the ball and runs at his man, and a couple of times he might lose it, fair enough. At least he's actually tried to drive past the line instead of getting stuck in this side by side. So
I also see as well, Matt, I'm just imagining that that if Allsop can get his distribution right, he could pump the ball over because this guy is very, very fast. And if Allsop can get the ball in the right areas, this guy's going to go through because he's very, very fast. So I think that could be something that could be an asset to us because that's what we're trying more and more on it. We look at using Allsop more and more because Allsop really is a goalkeeper, but he's also a contributor as well, isn't he?
Also, you got to remember that Lewis Koumas, I think I mentioned this in the other video as well. Like, he liked to surround himself with Luis Diaz, obviously before he left for the Bundesliga.
That's his hero, though.
Like Mo Salah, he liked to surround himself with his players. So I think if you're a Liverpool academy. Coming through the Liverpool academy, you're going to get better with better players around you. So I think Blues is going to be the best team he's going to be sent out on loan to with the best players around him, where he can up his game as well. Because you become better with better players around you, don't you?
I think for him, that's what this is all about, because as far as I'm aware, this is just a straight loan. There's no option to buy or anything like that. It's just a season-long loan. So Liverpool clearly see him as an asset going forward. So giving him to us so that we can develop him. So I agree. And for him, it's all going to be about development and game time as well. Interestingly, he was eligible to represent England through birth. He's represented Wales through his dad, and also he could have represented Cyprus through his grandfather as well. But he chose to play for.
Did you say Cyprus there?
Cyprus, but he actually chose Wales. So I think that for me it's a good addition to the squad. This I like the fact that we've got a young player in as well, somebody that can do play multiple positions. I think for me it's
also a loan dad, good business for me.
Yeah.
So it's because I think it's always good business to fill your loan slots up, because it means you're not having to fork out in the market as well. So I think from a business perspective, it's a very good signing. I think for his development, it's a good signing. And ultimately, on the pitch, gives us versatility, gives us a young, fresh, fast winger. All I can see is positives to this. Yeah,
me too. So, I'd love to know what you think, Blues fans, about this latest addition to the squad. Let us know, as always, in the comments below. If you did like this podcast, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll also find us on there. And you see the handles appearing for all these channels on the screen right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you'd like to, then don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button. And if you hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button, you'll get a notification every time myself and Matt put out a new podcast. So that's it for this one. Hope you've enjoyed it, and myself, and see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.